Okay, welcome back, Jebel Ali. In this tutorial, we're going to look at variables and scoring points. So we score points in this game when we are collecting apples. Now, you need to make sure your character starts in a place where there are no apples. So I'm going to drag my character up to this position here. So he'll start the game every time in this position. So we need to make sure he goes to this position. So I'm going to use a motion block. Now, motion blocks are up here, and we're going to use the go-to block. Now, the go-to block is here. We need a specific location, and you can see these are what we call coordinates. And if I drag that on here, it's saying go to x minus 207, y 144, and that is that location there. So if I drag my go-to block and put it straight after my green flag, now wherever I put my penguin and I press on the green flag, he will always go back to this point where there are no apples. Okay, so make sure you have got your character going straight to a location where there is nothing to collect, and you will start the game at that position each time. Okay, so now we need to create a variable. Now, a variable is a location where you store a value in computing, and our value is going to be called, and my one is going to be called apples. So to create your variable, you need to go down to variables, which is just here. So there's the variable block. So click in here, and then we're going to make a variable. You could call yours points, but I'm going to call mine apples. Okay, and you need to make sure you leave it for all sprites. That's very important. You must leave it ticked for all sprites. Okay, once you've done that, you've given it a name, you click on OK, and you'll see that your score has appeared on the screen. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that on my maze there so it doesn't get in the way. Okay, so that's my score. At the moment, it's set to 0. And that's what we want to make sure that happens at the start of your game, obviously. So you want to start off every game with 0 apples collected. So a bit like positioning your go-to, you need to set your apple score or your point score to 0. So there is the set to block. So remember, I'm here down in variables, and I'm going to use this block here, the set value to 0, set variable to 0, and that will go just after my green flag. So no matter how many apples I created in the last game, it will always set that number to 0 when the game starts. Okay, now what we need to do is think, how are we going to score points? So the way it works is every time we collect an item, in my case an apple, I will add 1 to the apples value. And now you need to do that on each of your apples or your items. So I'm going to click on my first apple here, and then make sure I'm in variables. I'm just going to stop my code. Just make sure I'm clicked here in variables, and you're going to do here, you're not going to use set apples to 0, obviously. You're going to change apples by 1. Very important that you use this block. And that will basically add 1 to your variable score each time you touch one of the apples. Now, you need to drag and drop that before your hide block inside your if statement. So if it will work like this, it'll forever check if you're touching penguin. So if one of these items is touching penguin, it will change apples by 1, and then it will hide. And I need to do that for every single one of my items. So I'm going to go through them one by one. Okay, there you go. So I've added it to every single one of my items I'm going to collect. Now you must make, oh, I've missed one down there. I'll do that one. So make sure you've done every single one of your items, and then you can test. So I'm going to make mine a full screen this time and test it that way. So did you see that? I just clicked on just here, full screen test. I'm going to do that and press my green flag. And now when I move my character, I will collect the item, and as you can see, my apple score is going up each time I collect an item. Okay, very simple. So I've collected 5 apples. Not a lot stopping me do that at the moment, but that doesn't matter. I will do that later. So I'm going to click on the stop, and then when I press the green flag again, I start back in this position and my apple score is set to 0. And that is how you add a variable to your game, and you enable it to change each time you touch the item using your character. Take care, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.